Men are being told today that marriage will cost them everything: their freedom, their purpose, even their power. But what if the real problem isn't marriage? What if it's the kind of man you bring into the marriage? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this channel is about building strong men, spiritually, mentally, and physically, through truth, discipline, and faith. We don't do bitterness here. We don't do fear. We build. So if that's what you're about, hit subscribe, like this video, and let's get into it. Let's go. There's a growing narrative online right now that says marriage is a trap. Marriage weakens men. Marriage takes your power away. And honestly, I get why some guys believe that. You hear stories about divorce, custody battles, losing money, losing access to your kids. You hear men say they gave everything, and it fell apart anyway. And honestly, I get why some guys believe that. You hear stories about divorce, custody battles, losing money, losing access to your kids. You hear men say they gave everything, and it fell apart anyway. That's real. That pain exists. But here's the problem. We're drawing the wrong conclusion. Because instead of asking, why do some marriages fail? We're jumping straight into marriage itself is the problem. And that's just not true. Let's be honest for a second. Yes, a dysfunctional relationship can drain you. Yes, if you abandon your purpose, lose your frame, and live to please, you will feel weak. But that's not marriage. That's misalignment. A healthy, biblical marriage doesn't shrink a man, it sharpens him. It forces him to lead when it's uncomfortable, stay committed when emotions fluctuate, and take responsibility beyond himself. That's not weakness, that's weight. And weight builds strength. The Bible doesn't call men to be passive in marriage. It calls them to lead with strength and sacrifice. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 25 says, "For husbands, this means love your wives, just as Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for her." That's not soft. That's the highest standard of leadership there is. Christ didn't lose power by sacrificing. He demonstrated ultimate authority through it. A lot of guys enter relationships and start slowly negotiating away who they are. They stop training. They stop pursuing their mission. They isolate from strong male friendships. And then they wake up one day and feel like a shell of themselves. And they say, marriage changed me. No, you changed. You traded discipline for comfort, purpose for approval, and leadership for peacekeeping. That's not love. That's avoidance. A strong marriage doesn't require you to lose your mission. It requires you to anchor it deeper. Here's something no one tells men. Marriage actually increases your power, but it also multiplies your responsibility. You now influence a wife, a future family, and a legacy. That's real authority. But authority without responsibility becomes abuse, and responsibility without strength becomes collapse. So what happens? Some men crumble under the weight and blame the institution instead of developing the capacity. But the truth is, marriage exposes the man you already are. We actually live in a culture that treats marriage like a legal contract. But biblically, it's a covenant. It's sacred, and when it's done right, it actually pleases God. So they are no longer two, but one. Let no one split what God has joined together. That was from Matthew chapter 9, verse 6. That's powerful. Marriage isn't random. It's not just emotional. It's designed. And anything designed by God isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to refine you. Let's talk about something real for a second. A lot of men are strong in logic, action, and problem solving, but weaker in emotional expression, empathy, and communication. Marriage forces you to grow in those areas, not in a way that feminizes you, but in a way that completes you. Because strength without empathy becomes harsh, and logic without love becomes cold. A strong man doesn't avoid emotional growth, he masters it. 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 7 says, "In the same way, you husbands must give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together." Understanding is not weakness, it's awareness, control, and discipline. It takes more strength to stay calm, listen, and lead well, than to shut down or dominate. Here's what concerns me most about the current narrative. It's not just warning men, it's hardening them. It teaches men to distrust women, avoid commitment, and prioritize self-preservation over growth. And over time, that turns into isolation. And isolation doesn't make you powerful, it makes you smaller. Because iron sharpens iron. And relationships, when done right, sharpen you in a way nothing else can. Trust me. Proverbs chapter 27 verse 17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend." That applies to marriage as well. A good wife doesn't weaken a strong man, she refines him. If this message challenged you, or shift your perspective, hit that like button. And if you're a man who wants to grow, not just react, subscribe to the channel. We're building something different here. So what's the takeaway? If you go into marriage needy, directionless, and seeking validation, then yes, you'll lose power. But if you go into a marriage grounded in purpose, rooted in faith, and committed to growth, you don't lose power, you multiply it. Because now you're not just building a life, you're building a legacy. The world is telling men, protect yourself, stay independent, don't risk it. But growth has always required risk, responsibility, sacrifice, commitment. That's where strength is built. So no, marriage isn't the enemy. Weak leadership is. Lack of purpose is. Fear is. But a strong biblical marriage? That's one of the most powerful environments a man can step into. And that's the better story.